Bezrat Hashem, we're up to day number 7. 1 week. Baruch Hashem, Halacha Yomi. So we are up to Halacha 76 over here, eating a meal on Erev Shabbat. So 76, one may not eat a large meal on Erev Shabbat, that is, one is not accustomed to eating on a regular day. Eating a meal is prohibited in order to honor Shabbat by being hungry and having an appetite for the Shabbat meal, so that one does not get distracted by one's meal and neglect the preparations that are necessary for Shabbat. Okay, so this is discussed in Siman Resh Mem Tet. One who wants to eat a regular meal that he would eat on a regular day may not do so if it's past the 9th halachic hour of the day. Look at the note the 102. Al-Chabru says that some people are stringent not to eat a meal beginning from Chatzot. Already from Chatzot time, they don't eat the meal. The Shmirat Shabbat Kilchata says, especially during the winter months. During the winter months, when's the meal is going to be Friday night? Friday night meal is going to be like 5:30. If you eat past Chatzot, it's very close to Shabbat meal, you're not going to have any desire for it. So in the winter months, when the days are short, one should be careful not to eat too much on Friday, even before the 9th hour of the day, in order they should have an appetite for the Shabbat meal. Okay, 77. What's a meal? What does this mean, a meal that you cannot have, a meal that you don't normally have Erev Shabbat? That's prohibited after the 9th hour, is defined as eating more than kibbetzah of bread, 50 grams of bread, or more than 3 kibbetzot of any dish made from the 5 grains. So kibbetzah of bread and 3 kibbetzot of mezonot, that is considered a meal that is prohibited to be having on Erev Shabbat. Okay, 78. All types of fruit, vegetables, meat, dairy products, and drinks are permitted to be eaten throughout the day, even if one eats large amounts. It should be stressed, however, that one should not eat too much before Shabbat in order to have an appetite to properly enjoy the Shabbat meal, especially if you're the type that gets very full very easily. Okay, likewise, one should not drink alcoholic beverages on Erev Shabbat, so that one does not get drunk or too sick to be able to enjoy and fulfill the Shabbat meal. So sometimes people have a desire to have like a pre-Shabbat get together, and they put out some snacks and they put out some drinks. So they have to be careful not to get drunk, so they could pray, and also that they shouldn't lose their appetite for the meal. If they eat too much and drink too much, then you won't have ability to have the meal. 70. What? Yes. Yes. How is that? Well, yes, we spoke a little bit about that yesterday. So 79, a Sudat Mitzvah is permitted on Erev Shabbat. Preferably, it should be done in the morning hours, in order that not to be too full to eat on Shabbat. That's what the Ramah writes in the Resh Memtet. So what's a case of a Sudat Mitzvah, a mitzvah meal? So they say like this. You say like this: a meal for Pidyon Ben, right? Even a meal that was made for honor Pidyon Ben that was pushed off for whatever reason, it may be done Erev Shabbat. Another type of meal is the meal in the honor of Hatan Kala, Sheh Brachot. That is also permitted to be done Erev Shabbat. Bar mitzvah party may be done Erev Shabbat as well, even after the 9th hour of the day. However, you can only do the bar mitzvah Seudah, and then we consider Seudah Mitzvah, if it's really the Bo Bayom, the Hebrew birthday of the bar mitzvah boy, not before, not after. In that case, it'll be permitted to do the meal Erev Shabbat. Letter D, a meal in the honor of Siyum Masechet. Siyum Masechet may take place Erev Shabbat, but it's better to leave a part of the Masechet for Motzei Shabbat. It's better for Motzei Shabbat, make the Siyum then. Then letter E, when Yom Tov is on a Friday, one may eat his regular Yom Tov meal as he would on a regular Yom Tov. However, it's praiseworthy to finish one's meal before the 9th hour of the day, in order not to be too full for the Shabbat meals as well. So therefore, this Simchat Torah meal is a Seudat Mitzvah. First of all, Siyum Torah, and also it's a Yom Tov meal. So Yom Tov meal is Seudat Mitzvah also, so you're allowed to have it Erev Shabbat. But it's better to have it and to finish it before Mincha Ketana. That way you give some room for to want to eat on Shabbat meal as well. Okay. F. It is permitted to eat a meal in honor of Chol Hamoed or Rosh Chodesh and Erev Shabbat. However, it's preferable to eat the meal before the 9th hour of the day. And finally, G. When Purim is Erev Shabbat, the Sudah may be done after Hatzot, since it's considered a Sudat Mitzvah, but one should try to not eat it too close to Shabbat. It's preferable to eat Sudah right away in the morning anyways. In general, Purim, it's always better to hear the Megillah, right away give Matanot Devim, and give the baskets, the shlach manot, and right away have seudah. Okay, good. 80. One who gets married on Friday should not make the wedding meal during the daytime. Instead, the meal should be done Friday night. That's what people used to do. They used to do a meal Erev Shabbat, a wedding Erev Shabbat, and then they would make the meal Friday night. And it would be Shabbat Hatan, it would be Shabbat Brachot, it would be everything together. Let's see the note over here, 114. Hazon Avadia that writes this halacha. Even though a Sudat Mitzvah is generally permitted on Erev Shabbat, since there's no halachic obligation to make the wedding on Friday, technically you could have made it at a different day. The meal does not override the honor of Shabbat. So usually you Sudat Mitzvah you're allowed to do right away, Erev Shabbat. Here, this one, you didn't have to make the wedding today. Could have delayed it. So therefore you have to make it Friday night. Yakut Yosef adds that one may also not make a large meal for an engagement party. Tanchori, Erev Shabbat, you can't do that. Rather, you should make a light party with cakes and cookies and not push off getting engaged just because it's a Friday. You could make the party, just don't make too much food. And just serve light refreshments. Okay. 81. An Avel should not eat bread at the Sudat Avrah on Erev Shabbat if the Sudat is taking place too close to Shkia. So right, Avel, he's not allowed to eat from his own food the first meal. They have to feed him the first meal, right? Not tuchum, Sudat Avrah. So he should not eat the bread on a Sudat Avrah, not tuchum, if it's Erev Shabbat, if Sudah is too close to Shkia. Imagine you bury somebody Friday, and by the time you get to the restaurant, it's already late in the afternoon. So if he's going to be late in the afternoon, close to Shabbat already, so better not to eat the bread, even though it's a Sudat Havrah, because then he's going to ruin his appetite for the Shabbat. Okay, what about fasting Erev Shabbat? 82. The common custom is to refrain from fasting on Erev Shabbat, since it's not appropriate to enter Shabbat when one is fasting and uncomfortable. Now, interestingly over here, 116, look at the note. It says, even though the Shulchan Aruch and Resh Memtet says the righteous people have a custom to fast every Erev Shabbat, the Taz over there says this is only referring to people who will be able to withstand the fast and will be able to eat as normal after the fast. But if fasting on Erev Shabbat is going to make it that you're very weak and you're not going to be able to stand the fast, you're going to come to Shabbat prayers like this, like falling apart, very weak. And plus, even when you eat your Shabbat meal, you're going to eat so little because you're the type that when you fast and then you break the fast, you eat a little bit and you get so full, you're not going to be able to eat anything. So therefore, it's better that you shouldn't fast. Only the people who are able to eat a lot afterwards, or eat what they're required to eat for the Shabbat meal, and people who will have strength to pray properly on Shabbat, those are the people that can fast Erev Shabbat. Okay. The Bach also says it's not right to come in a state of discomfort to the Shabbat. So if you're strong, you could do the fast. But if you're not, then you shouldn't do the fast. 83. Any of the regular fast days, not including Ta'anit Esther, that occur on Friday or Shabbat is pushed off till Sunday. Right? Shabbat Asar B'Tammuz, let's say Asara B'Tevet. However, when the 10th of Tevet is a Friday, you must fast until Tzedek Kochavim, and one is not permitted to eat upon accepting Shabbat. So that's the one exception. The Asara B'Tevet, when it's a Friday, we fast Erev Shabbat, and we come into the Kiddush time, then that's when we break the fast. And you're not allowed to eat even though you did early Shabbat. Let's say you did early Shabbat, you're not allowed to eat. You have to wait till Tzedek Kochavim. Okay, 84. When 10th of Tevet falls on Erev Shabbat, even those who usually have a custom to wear tefillin during Mincha, on a fast day, they should not wear tefillin during Mincha on Erev Shabbat, even if one is praying at an early Mincha. Okay, 85. One who fasts every year on the Yoshvo of the yard side of his parent should also fast on Erev Shabbat if it falls out on that day. However, he should make a condition, stipulate before fasting that he should be able to eat after Arvit and not have to wait till Tzedek Kochavim. That way, if he prays early Arvit, he can also eat right after Arvit, or he doesn't have to wait till exactly the moment. He can once he comes home from shul, he can do Kiddush right away. 86. When Erev Pesach is an Erev Shabbat, Tanit Bechorot is observed on Erev Shabbat. So all those firstborns who didn't hear a siyum, and they have to fast Erev Pesach, if it's Erev Shabbat also, so then they have to fast regardless, even though Erev Shabbat we try not to fast. Okay, 87. Some communities have a custom to refrain from giving a eulogy after Hatzot Erev Shabbat, other than for a Torah scholar, because Erev Shabbat is not supposed to be a time where you're depressed and sad. But if it's a Torah scholar, they do it nonetheless, because Kavod Torah, the honor for the Torah, comes first. Okay, We're going to start the one halacha from this new set of halachot, traveling on Erev Shabbat, and we're going to continue this next time. 88. One may not travel on a boat beginning from Thursday if the trip will extend into Shabbat. Why? This is because by doing so, one is not able to enjoy the Shabbat as a result of the tossing and the turning of the boat, and only after 3 days does a person get accustomed to the sea, and God forbid he could get seasickness. If you get seasickness too close to Shabbat, you'll have no oneg Shabbat. You're not going to be able to enjoy the Shabbat. However, one who's traveling for the purpose of a mitzvah, he may travel even on Thursday or even Erev Shabbat. Similarly, one is allowed to travel by boat if he does this for a living. Since he does it for a living, so he's not going to get seasick. But a person who's going on a cruise, let's say, he should not embark on the trip on Thursday or Friday because he might get seasick and he's not going to have oneg Shabbat. But if you leave on Wednesday or you leave on Tuesday, it'll be permitted. We'll continue these halachot next time. Baruch Na'olam. Amen, amen. Hazak Baruch, everybody. Have a great day.
Nowadays, though.